Perfect. I hit record instead of end meeting, so we are on track. Welcome, everybody. It is, what is today? Saturday, August the 12th, and we are celebrating the wrap up, the conclusion of this month's Conscious Entrepreneur Transform Fear into Confidence Challenge and the Consciouspreneur Club. And this is like one of my favorite times of the month is to watch everybody go through this challenge and to see what, little aha moments are happening along the way and what kind of breakthroughs are happening and what kind of perspective shifts are happening to allow you to step into just a greater level of confidence with really not having to do much except for recognize that there's a different way to look at the same things that you've been approaching or avoiding approaching for some of us. And what I love most about this challenge is that it came from my heart. I really took an honest look at what is the difference between those who take action, or even just looking at my own personal life, where I am taking action, where I'm not taking action. And I got so curious about why I had this strong desire to do things that I just couldn't get myself to do. And it was such an interesting dynamic and discord that was happening within myself of knowing what was possible for me, what I'm capable of, but then just not seeing it happen. And I found that confidence was a big game changer. And then the business paradigm that I offer you, woven throughout this 5-day challenge, it really just liberated my practice. It liberated the way that I approach sales conversations. It liberated the way that I approach marketing. It just helped to clarify everything. And when I could see that these internal shifts could match up to really support these external shifts and actions that we want to be taking, I just found this really powerful formula that I shared with you through the challenge. And everything that we touch on in the challenge, it's just things that I practice in my day-to-day life. It's what I incorporate into the work that I bring into the world. But again, more importantly, what I bring to every aspect of my life. So you can take this same information and apply it over to your relationships, to your family, to what you're trying to do and with your physical body, if you have different health goals or anywhere that you have some goals in your life, or just that desire for something more. And I think we can all kind of relate to that desire to make a dietary change, but then just not doing it. And it's like, why don't we do these things? And when we can instead of trying to poke and prod and systemize and invest in trainings and learn more and add more to ourselves, when we can instead go inside and realize, okay, if I'm not taking action, I must not be confident. Okay, where am I not confident? Then you can really get clear on what it is that's holding you back. Because a lot of us think that it's one thing that's holding us back, but really it's what we're doing because of that thing that's holding us back. So if we think that, oh, I can't move my business forward until I have more money, then what are you doing because you're telling yourself, I can't move my business forward until I have more money? So then you can take a look at, what am I doing because of that, as a result or as a side effect of having that belief in my life? That, whatever it is that you're doing, be it not showing up consistently or not clarifying your message or, just simply not taking action, then you can focus on building your confidence in that area instead of trying to, again, cattle prod yourself into action. And I think that there are really that typical type A driven type personality entrepreneurs out there that can really attack the traditional business model and do whatever it takes and knock on all the doors and make all the phone calls. And when we find ourselves not being able to take those actions, we can also begin to develop stories about our worth, our value, our ability, and a lot of the common stories that I hear from other conscious, sensitive, aware entrepreneurs like ourselves is, I'm just lazy, or, I know I could be doing more, or I have this bad habit of procrastinating. I put everything off till the last minute. Or this one, I really love this one. I said it for so long. Oh, I'm ready to serve people. If you could just get them in front of me, I would do my thing. If they could just be right there in front of me, I would be awesome. But why aren't you doing? What are you doing as a result of them not being there? And taking a look at that. So understanding that all these stories that we tell ourselves of why we aren't getting the results that we want, that is just an indicator as to where to really shift our focus and, again, where to build that confidence. And to understand that you're not lazy, you're not a procrastinator. I mean, you may be in the habit of putting stuff off, but that's just a sign that you're not trusting yourself. So when we can see it for what it is lying underneath the surface, then we can say, okay, well, you know what? I do trust myself. I have this burning desire in my heart. I have all this training. I have all this support. It's okay for me to move forward or to try out this method or whatever it is to take that step forward. And then as you take that follow through, you build that self-trust. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself because I wanted to do a nice little recap for everybody. So yes, this is why I get so pumped up about this challenge every month. This is why I love when people are new to the group, you can get plugged into it. And this is why if you hang around the group, like many of you, this is not your first wrap-up call. You've been on these calls before, you've taken this challenge on. And what's really cool is that every time you take it on, you are in a different place in your life. So you can peel back more and more layers. You can build and strengthen that connection with yourself, understand yourself better, and you can just get more clarity, more confidence over and over again. And what's super cool too, I hadn't even talked about this in the group, but we are like sitting exactly on the 1-year anniversary of the Consciouspreneur Club coming into fruition. I kicked off the first ever Transform Fear into Confidence Challenge on August 8th, 8/8 of 2016. And I didn't start running it every single month, not to begin with, but it was just so great that I started to implement it. I was like, you know what, let's do it again and let's do it again. And it just gave a really nice rhythm and culture to our group. And I'm just honored to be leading this group of, I think we're hitting at 350. I hadn't looked at the membership lately, but I know a lot of people have been coming in recently. And it's just been awesome. But what makes it awesome is y'all showing up, being vulnerable, being committed, and understanding that there's nothing wrong with you. You just weren't made to do what you've seen other people do. And that's perfect because you just didn't come here to do what they're doing. You came here to be you, to be your expression of you. And then how can we find some kind of structure, some kind of replication that we can use so that we can figure out our own systems, our own processes, so that we can map our own path to success and have some place for our own personal flow to go in a way that feels aligned, that feels authentic, that feels amazing, because we feel too much to not do stuff that feels amazing. We don't want to do the stuff that doesn't make us feel good, and we definitely don't want to do the stuff that we think isn't going to make other people feel good. So that really sets us apart, and it's something to embrace, in my belief, in the business world, not something to move away from. I think we're just pioneers. I think we're way showers, and I think we're here to learn how to be radically confident in our softer, more natural, more authentic, more unique approach so that we can show other people how to live into who they came here to be as well. And I commend you if that really resonates with your journey and your mission and the reason that you're here in this group and the reason that you show up every day and refuse to quit this crazy roller coaster ride of entrepreneurship, this insanely intense spiritual path called entrepreneurship. And the more that we can understand and really embrace it as that and understand we're just learning ourselves. You know, that's one of the things that keeps running through my mind over the last 48 hours is that saying, know thyself. When you really know your heart, your soul, your spirit, the essence of who you are, your immense worth, how incredibly equipped you are, how all of life is conspiring for you. It unfolds for you every day. Every day. You're the only one who goes everywhere that you go every day, and there's a world there unfolding in front of you. You cannot prove to me that it's not happening just for you. Look, see, the sun's even starting to shine brighter. Yeah, life knows. It's like, yeah, you're hitting on some truth there. So when we can be radical enough and bold enough in our gentle, compassionate ways to take a stand for what we know to be true, we know it to be true. We feel it in our lives. We see it in our lives. We know that we have been changed by a very powerful energy that is become part of who we are. And now we have that calling to bring that into the world. And I think the only way that we can really do it and look mainstream in the eye and look all these people that are so used to that more masculine and I don't know, perfection driven way of doing things and common way of doing things, we're gonna have to take a firm stance. And this is the perfect challenge to set you up for how to do that, so we can settle into who we are, bring more of that into the world, and just get more aligned with our message, our mission, and the results that are possible on the other side of it, which isn't really on the other side of it. It's just part of the journey that's going to unfold along the way. Okay, so I love watching everybody plug into this challenge. I love, again, the shifts that I see, the clarity, just even something as simple as just getting more clarity around your marketing message or trusting yourself more to put it out there. That these are game changers. This is what makes or breaks it. If you're not making an offer or asking people to engage with what you have to offer on a consistent basis, it is not because you don't know what you're doing, and it's not because you're not lazy or haven't found the right system. It's because you haven't worked on these foundational pillars. So I'm going to give a brief little overview, and then I'd love to open it up because we got several people on the line here. I see about 6 of you out there looking beautiful today. And I'd love to open up the line just to get some feedback from what your experience was, any kind of breakthrough that you had, any kind of awareness that you had on this, and anywhere that we can take the concepts that I'm getting ready to recap for you and help you to personally integrate it more into your life, to deepen your understanding of it. So day one, we started where I believe all these journeys really begin and all these roads are really leading us to. And that all started with self-love. And I invited you to become your best business partner, to commit to your own peace of mind, your own happiness, your own success, and commit to this journey. Because this is the one thing that everybody who's successful has in common. None of them quit. It's not because they didn't want to, it's that they didn't. It's not because they didn't have unsupported people in their life or challenges in front of them. It's because they didn't quit. They might have pressed pause. They might have taken a step back. They might have stayed in bed for a couple of weeks, but they got back out there and they got back at it, and they just never gave up. And when you can align yourself with a perspective that says, my end result is going to be success, then I can just relax and enjoy this journey and get to know myself on a deeper level, pay attention to how I'm treating myself as I go along on this journey, and realize I can't just take the best parts of me along. I got to take all of me along, and I have to give myself the same loving attention that I desire other people to give my way, as I journey forth with this message and with this calling in my life. And understanding that, that you have the power to declare in this moment. In this moment, I invited you on day one to just instantly say, you know what? I'm somebody who follows through. It's who I am. It's what I do. And when you start to identify yourself as somebody who follows through, and you have that foundation of self-love, and you allow your actions to be just a demonstration of that self-love, your outer self acting out and taking action on your inner self's desires, because who else is going to act on this, guys? Nobody else is getting this message. It's your message. It's like a homing beacon. I took my daughter to see Storks this past week. I don't know if anybody's seen it or not, the kids movie, but like every baby when they're born gets a homing beacon to let them know who to get them delivered to. And I just keep picturing that whenever I think about like what your inner desires are. It's your homing beacon. It belongs to you. Nobody else gets that imprint. Nobody else gets that messaging, and nobody else is equipped for it the way that you are. But if you don't love yourself enough to do whatever it takes to make sure that you see your dreams through, who's going to do that for you? Nobody's going to do it for you. And just like you can't see your kids' dreams through for them, you can't see your spouse's dreams through for them. All that you can do is see your own dreams through. And when you link arms with yourself and learn how to become your best business partner, understand that one person you're waiting to join your team is already there. Like, hello, when are you going to recognize me? And when you can say that is enough and I can move forward with this, it's just such a game changer. And it's one of those game changers that you can hear the blah, 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 blah. But if you don't ever take action, start loving yourself on a daily basis, start paying attention to your self-talk, start integrating this as a practical action step in your day, you're never going to know the power that is there. It is such a simple step, but it is so powerful. And that's what I love about this. It's all so simple that it makes all the difference. And regardless, whatever you go through, whatever success, whatever failures, whatever struggles, whatever, celebrations you go through, no matter what, you always deserve more love, not less. And why not love yourself through this journey when so many others fail to see your greatness, fail to give you the recognition, fail to give you that unwavering support, fail to recognize how amazing and capable and wise and awesome you are, just because they can't see the vision that you have, because it's your vision. And when you can just put your little hands underneath yourself and give yourself that same loving support, when you can turn to yourself for the love, for the validation, it's just again a game changer that I could sit here and talk to you about for 16 days straight. Like, I could do that. And for those that aren't used to me, like, yes, I can talk nonstop for days about this, but it's never going to change your life until you actually do it. So one hand on the heart, and I love you once a day. It'll change your world. And I know that because it changed my world, completely changed my world. So all that self-love gets you in a place where you're kind of giddy to take action, where then it's just like, well, this is going to be fun. And this is a way that I can play with my inner self and just see what can happen when I align those two badasses with one another. What can happen? And then you start to follow through. And with your follow through, it starts to create this energetic and this physical space, this clearing. It allows you, and I can feel the energy just as I move my hands around like this. It creates this energetic clearing for what you want to come into your life. And that is one of the things that I am really passionate about helping you to learn how to do, is to learn how to receive. And the way that you learn how to receive, first off, is to clear the space. Because if your life is so full of struggle, of obstacles, of challenges, of all these things that are in your way, of all this clutter that's around, of all these unfinished tasks, you're telling life, whoa, 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 whoa. I got a lot over here. It's overwhelming. Can't you see? I'm freaking the F out. I'm overwhelmed. So life's like, okay, I can't do this to you. I can't make it any worse for you. So I'm just going to sit here and wait, because if I hand you a fully booked schedule on top of all this craziness, that would be the most unkind thing that I can do for you. So instead, I'm just going to make everything stop. We're going to stop the cash flow. We're going to stop the clients calling. We're going to stop, all these things that you think that you need in order to handle all this stuff, or that you want to come in so that you can handle everything that you really desire, so that you can finish what you started. And you can prove to yourself that you're somebody who follows through. And you can signal to us that you're ready for more. And we can know, I don't know what I'm talking about, this unseen world out here, right? God, the essence of life, energy, whatever it is that really speaks to your soul. We can usher in what you desire as soon as we know that you're ready for it. And we know once you're taking action, because once we see you being a good steward of what you've already been given, we know that we can send more, because you can be a good steward of that too. So follow through looks like it gets results just because it starts moving energy around. I've never even taught it that way before, but I mean, it feels right to me. Doesn't it feel right to you guys? It just gets the energy stirred up. It gets it moving. And then life's like, okay, it's go time again. It's time to get going. If we can think about this as like through looking at it like massage or acupuncture, it's the same idea. Everything gets stagnant in the body. We start to flush it out. We get that energy moving again. Healing, repairing, everything starts to happen. We can move forward and stay, instead of just staying stuck. Okay. So I invited you, while you're waiting for what you want to come into your life, why not file those papers, send those emails, finish those unfinished tasks, so you can really be a good steward of what's coming in next. And for me, anytime that life slows down or starts to stop, I'm like, okay, wait a second. What is life giving me space to do? What have I not finished that I can just complete? I mean, I'm just going to be hanging out waiting to receive anyway. So why not take that long bath that I've been wanting to take for the last 16 months since, becoming a mom, or whatever, last 4 years since becoming a mom? Where's that bath at that I've been meaning to take, right? Catch up on your data entry. Do the little repairs around your house that you can do right now, that you don't have to take out, a home loan or wait till you have the money for. Change the light bulbs, tighten the screws, do these little things. Not only will it improve the experience that you have right there in the moment, it's going to help you to feel accomplished. It's going to help to build your self-trust, because if you tell yourself, oh, I'm going to do that one day, and you don't ever get to it, imagine somebody coming into your life and being like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that for you. And then 15 months later, it's still not done. And they're like, yeah, I'm doing that for you. Would you give them more tasks to do? You'd be like, no, I'm going to do this myself. And that's what you have to do, to realize no one's going to come in and rescue you. No one's going to make sure that you succeed. No one is going to make sure that you enjoy the journey along the way. Nobody's going to do that for you. It's your job to follow through. And when you hang around more of my work and more of my teachings, you'll see it's just about that commitment to yourself, the consistency in the little things, but you got to have the confidence to do it all, right? So this is how we get to that level of confidence. Self-love allows you to follow through. Once you follow through, guess what happens? You boost your self-trust. And self-trust is such a powerful thing because, and that's why we go into it on day 3, because that's what starts to allow the creation process to begin. When you trust yourself, you're like, okay, maybe I can do this. So if I was going to start a business, what could it be? And you go to the drawing board and you start to brainstorm and you start to dream and you start to create. That's where self-trust gets you. So if you're stuck in the creation process, look to your self-trust. See how cool this is? How you can just dissect this and you can like hold up everything. It's like, okay, well, if I'm not taking action, I must not be confident. Well, if I'm not confident, where can I see that I've followed through enough that I trust myself that I can move forward on this? It's a really cool formula. So if you're stuck in the creation process, go to trust, because trust is going to pave the way for that clarity, because you're never going to hit on that clarity until you trust yourself to pick a freaking option, right? So with the cultivating a higher level of self-trust, you can start the creation process. And this is where I introduced to you the idea of niching down your services, finding that target market, not that you serve, but just that you market to, so that whenever you're speaking to people with your messaging, you're putting out a cohesive message so that people can actually pick up on the fact that you're talking to them. And this is one of the biggest pitfalls that I see that allows you to just keep floundering. I did it to myself for a number of years. I think it really comes from a lack mentality underneath the surface, this fear of missing out on something. But it also comes from this lack of self-trust. Too concerned. I remember when I first started massage, I was like, well, I can't just market to women who have headaches. I can help men that have headaches, and I can help women that have shoulder pain and ankle pain and, plantar fasciitis symptoms. And I can help with a multitude of things. Why am I going to talk about headaches to women? It's because women with a headache are looking for a solution. And if you say, I've got a solution, I can help your headache, then once they see, wow, you can help headaches, you're a master at helping headache. Well, can you help my foot pain? Can you help my shoulder pain? Do you know anything about this other stuff? Because now you're a trusted source. You're an expert in their eyes. And if you're just somebody who kind of knows a little bit about everything, you're going to be the person that they go to ask to a referral for somebody else. But if you are the expert, I'm telling you, as soon as I clarified, as soon as I said, I help mompreneurs step into a greater level of confidence so that they can move their mission forward in a way that makes them feel supported and that they know that they're equipped. Then I had men say, can you do that for me too? With my gutter business? You know what I mean? It was like this totally different thing that I was marketing to, but that's what a lot of people want to hear. That's what's going to make a man invest in you, or at least pursue your services. Not if you're like, yeah, I can do lots of things for lots of people. They're going to be like, cool. But if you say, I am really kick-ass at doing this one thing and I do it all the time with people and they just get amazing results, they're going to be like, oh yeah? Tell me more about that, because you've leveraged yourself as an expert. And remember, your ideal market, they're looking for a solution. They're already out there looking for it. Your ideal person, you don't have to convince. So you need to align. What's your ideal person? Think about who that would be. Think about who you are. That's who I serve. People who have the same struggles as me, because I know I can help you because I've helped myself through them, right? So, and plus, whenever I show up and I start talking and I start being me, you're like, hey, she's kind of like me. I have those same thoughts. I have those same feelings. I have those same struggles. And it doesn't mean that somebody who's not in business can't benefit from what I'm talking about. I just market to conscious entrepreneurs because I know I can relate to more of your struggles. If you're a mom who's a conscious entrepreneur, now we're hitting some sweet spots. If you're a mom married to a man who has to see, touch, feel everything in tangible physical results until he can support you, and therefore isn't supporting you until you get those tangible physical results, I can really help you because I can hit on all of those things. But if you don't fit into that perfect mold, you know I can still be powerfully effective, because these are universal truths. You know that everybody can benefit from what you do. You know that. You're the only one who needs to know that. The whole world doesn't need to know that. And they're never going to know it until you pick a niche and you go an inch wide and a mile deep. Thank you, Nia, for giving me that analogy, because I use it all the time now. You find out, what does that little group really care about? What do they really want? And the more that you clarify that, you guys are witnessing it. The more I clarify my messaging to you, the more you're like, oh my gosh, she's in my head. Does she follow me around? I have to follow her. I have to know more that she knows because I really believe her, right? And those type A driven people who can just do it the first time around, they start a multi-level marketing business and they're a millionaire after 6 months. That's great, but it's not relatable. It's not relatable. So you've got to trust yourself, embrace all of you, all of your struggles, bring that to the table because your market is looking to connect with somebody just like you. Sarah, I see you taking a deeper level of vulnerability with your messaging that you're putting out there, and you're really going to find your way continuing on that path, and your people are going to find you. Okay, but you won't do that until you trust yourself, right, Sarah? And like, how can you trust yourself until you put it out there and see, oh, people really like me. Oh, people are really vibing with this. Oh, I'm learning something about myself in the process. It's so silly. It's like, I need all the evidence before I take the action, but I can't get any of the evidence until I take the action. So I'm just going to sit here and binge watch Orange is the New Black, right? Or whatever it is that you watch. Okay. So day 4, we got into clarity, because once you trust yourself, once you get into that creative process, all that clarity starts to just come through. It's like, oh, I get this now. Oh, I can see this now. And even if it's not, totally clear, even if you still got general things like women and you don't have that to a certain age group, or, who have whatever, online businesses, but you don't have it niched down to coaching practices, you've got to get that ball rolling. And that clarity starts to come through. And clarity is also where we begin to tap into our prosperity consciousness and be able to expand that and be able to clear out the things that are limiting us and stopping ourselves. So maybe we need to clear some things out of our diet. Maybe we need to clear some naysayers out of our nearby physical environment. Maybe we need to clear out some marketing that's coming to us from other people who are successful because it's distracting us from our own success. Maybe we need to clear out some limiting beliefs. That's why I do those monthly group sessions. If you're part of the Consciouspreneur Mastermind, you're already familiar with these. Every month we do a group healing session. Well, y'all that aren't in the mastermind, you can still join these group healing sessions. I keep the door open for anybody to join. And every month we do either a distant healing session, a limited belief clearing session, or an authentic alignment session. And all of them are designed to help you identify what it is that's holding you back and show you how you can tap into what it is that you need to do, need to clear, need to integrate into your life so that you can be more aligned with your results, so you can be more clear about, you can upgrade your mindset, and you can also begin to tap into your own healing protocols. They're so powerful, all what do you call it? You're going to learn my protocol, and then you can duplicate it. You can use it as needed in your own life. You can replicate it in your life. As needed. It's what I do on a daily, sometimes hourly basis to clear out the stuff that's holding me back. So these clearing sessions are really great to support this clarity process, because once you clear out some of those limiting beliefs, clarity just snaps right into place. And this month, I think it is a limited belief clearing session, because we did distant healing last month. So the last week of this month, keep an eye out. We'll be doing some limited belief clearing sessions. And I might just make that like a regular Wednesday event to like rotate between these healing sessions and doing like group laser coaching or something like that. I've been feeling called to that. So I'm making a note so that my outer self doesn't forget that my inner self has this desire. See how we work together as a team? It's really quite beautiful. And we've learned not to dictate responsibilities that the other one shouldn't hold on to. So inner self's job is not to remember everything, right? Outer self can make a note. Inner self will let us know if it's one that we're supposed to take action on. It's a beautiful dance. Okay, so ask yourself, I invited you on day 4, ask yourself, where can I allow more? Now that you have this clarity, where can you open yourself up to receiving? Where can you expand yourself? Where can you clear out some limiting beliefs? Where can you get more clear on your worth and your value? Understand, you will never, ever, 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 ever be able to You will never be able to price your services at your true worth and value, because nobody has that much money, because we can't deliver the entire universe to you. It's just not possible. And you can never put a price on the value of the services that you offer. They're priceless. So you're not going to be able to really get clear on what your pricing should be and how you should package your services and offer your services until you allow yourself that clarity and expand your prosperity consciousness to understand your immense worth and value can never be contained in a number, but you have to be able to pick a number that feels really, really good to you to represent the energetic exchanges happening between you and your clients. And again, that's all around clarity and expanding that prosperity consciousness. And if that's something that you could use a more in-depth conversation on, then for sure consider joining us over in the mastermind. We have some people that are still finishing this 21-day money power shift beta run. So we've been talking a lot about prosperity consciousness and expanding your ability to receive and building that muscle. And next week, I'll mention this again later, but next week we're also going to be starting a master workshop series around self-love. And I'm going to be integrating with that how self-love can support different aspects of your business. So you can start to see what action items you can build as a result of really cultivating a higher level of those unseen elements. So we're gonna start to pair those together. You got the masculine, you got the feminine, and it should make some really powerful power shifts for y'all. Okay, so all of this, self-love, follow-through, self-trust, clarity, it brought us to day 5, which is confidence. And that's where we can get into really understanding the dynamics of sales conversations and finding a sales conversation that feels really good and really right to us, and that we know we can be of service and of value, even if people aren't a good fit for our services. Plus, we can have the confidence in knowing that the right people are always going to be able to see how our services can help them, because we're going to find out more about them before pitching our services. So we always know what to say, how to say it, and who to say it to, because we've flipped this around from I got to tell you everything up front to you tell me everything that you want. And if and when it's a good fit, we're both going to know it, and we can't stop what's going to happen next. Y'all know, y'all have had sales conversations with me. I'm sure many of you have. It's like by the end of it, you're like, let's go. Let's take on the world together. And it's only because I've gotten clear in my messaging. I'm able to attract those that are a better resonance of me. And even of those that aren't ready to invest in themselves and to allow the level of support that working with somebody like me or like you can welcome into their life, then you know it's not because you said the wrong thing or you didn't do your part. You can just really hold the space for them to get more connected to their value and make the shifts that are necessary to allow that to come into their life. Not you, it's them, right? So again, now that you've become your best business partner, you followed through on that unfinished business, you've created space, you've identified who you want to serve, how to speak to them directly, and you've cleared out your limited beliefs, the things that are physically, emotionally, mentally holding you back. You now are in a place where you can confidently engage with somebody and find out more about what it is that they're really looking for, see if it's a good match for you, and allow people to self-select working with you. And I like that so much better. I mean, majority, I would say 90% of my sales conversations end up being where the other person is asking me about what my offerings are before we even get through the things that I want to know about them. And that's really cool. It lets me know that I'm hitting on something, and it makes me feel like, okay, you know, how many of us don't make that phone call, be it to the warm market or the cold market, because we just don't know if they're going to want to hear what we have to offer. Well, how cool is it when people are like, okay, tell me, I just want to know right now. How do you work with people? How much do you charge? I need to know. I need to know. I gotta figure this out. That feels so much better. If we just knew, like, if we could just like put a little message out to everybody, like people read these messages, but you know, if we could just send that subconscious message out to everybody and just like, reach out to me if you want this, bam. If your phone was just ringing off the hook of people saying, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more, you'd show up all day, every day, wouldn't you? I mean, this is what you love to do. So this is how you can get to that point without having them have to make the first move. Okay, so that is how you transform fear into confidence, and this is the process that I took you through day after day, and that you can revisit over and over again. And I've had people dive into some of my other trainings and then hit some pretty powerful stuff that they weren't knowing that they were going to face, and then they've gone back to this so they can build their confidence and work their way through the rest of the other stuff that I've taken them through. So again, this is for you to revisit over and over again, and any time that you are in a situation that you're finding yourself not taking action, especially action that you desire or that you know you have to take or need to take, then this is where you can come back to. Where are you hitting on the spectrum, and where can you focus your attention so you don't spend all your time waiting for the money to come in so that you can invest in that program, so you can learn the new way, and instead tap into your own internal wisdom and allow that to be your driving force. Okay, so I would love to open the line up right now. And actually, I'll leave everybody mute, but if you want to jump out and share anything, what you have taken away from this challenge, or even just this recap, or anything else that you have on your heart to share, I'd love to hear it, or questions that you have. Go for it, Rob.
Okay. So I really loved it. Of course, I think you're brilliant by having the recap, which of course made me get up and see the event, and then it's like, oh, I better go back and listen to all these, because you all know that I was out in Pennsylvania and I was clearing stuff out, and just traveled back to California this week. But one of the things that I have had a consistent struggle with is that idea of niching. So I really love that portion of the challenge. And one of the things, well, two things. This is just a comment that's general. I think sometimes if you struggle with the self-love, then you don't want to niche down to people who are like you, because you don't like you.
Oh, that's such a good point. Such a good point. That reminds me, I've said this a couple of times. Like, the old model is the know, like, and trust model. If people know you, they like you, and they trust you, then they're going to buy from you. But I say the new model is, do you know you? Do you like you? And do you trust you? Because that really is what it's all about. Because to me, that perfectly lines up with the self-love, self-worth, and self-trust.
Yeah.
So, very good point.
Yeah, so that was one of the things that I was like, wow, okay, that's pretty powerful. The other thing is, with the niching, consistently what's been tripping me up is that I have three things going on. I've had the high performance coaching, I've had consulting, and then I've had a network marketing thing on the side. And two of them feel like they're very similar, and I feel good about them. I think that the coaching and the facilitating, they really tie into the same thing. The network marketing seems like an outlier. And I think what happens is I get this fear of missing out. Maybe that's the same thing that you were describing with the niching. It's like, well, if I don't do that, because I have good friends who are doing it and I know they're going to be successful at it, and I know, that if I just sit around and do nothing, that 3 months from now, they're going to be making $10,000 a month doing this. And I could have been that, but it just doesn't feel, it's just not calling to my soul the same way that some of the other stuff is calling to my soul.
Yes. So you make a really good point here. There's a couple of things that you hit on. So I'm going to make a couple notes here. So this fear of missing out. Anytime that it's a fear, it's like, you got to do it now. And if you don't do it now, you're going to miss out something. There's going to be some repercussion on the other side. That is a good indication. It's a good indication that that's your ego talking. Your ego talking. So while I teach and really am a big advocate for understanding that the ego is also part of your intuition, because all of your internal self is speaking to you, just we take on kind of different roles within ourselves. So that's the ego side of things. That's the ego's, that fear of missing out. If it's impulsive and there's a repercussion, ego. If it's an impulse and it's just inspiring, intuition. So when you say about, it's not calling to you the way that this other thing is really feeling like your soul calling out, I would encourage you to look down that direction, to look down that path. And anything that there's a fear of missing out on, one, the fact that the ego is saying that you're going to miss out on it is the ego's backward way of telling you you can't miss out on it. You're going to run into it. Mm-hmm. Two, if you're meant to run into it, you can't avoid it, right? It's going to happen anyway. So I would say if you want to really challenge yourself to deepen your self-trust and to just practice, just experiment, because you really don't know until you try something on, right? Experiment with just following solely the one that your soul's pointing to the strongest, knowing that if the other ones are hanging on, like there's something that is there that does align with the soul, but it's just not, there's a different feeling with it. Allow those to just be. I wouldn't say cut them off. I just wouldn't focus there right now, because for a lot of us, this is where we have to find that that balance again between the seen and the unseen. So we're multifaceted people. We're meant to do multifaceted things, but we're still not meant to market multiple things. We're meant to market one thing. And I believe the one thing you're really meant to market is you. And then once people engage with you, then you can say, and over here we have this, over here we have this, and we can deepen your experience once we get you through the door, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak. Gosh, and it
Mm-hmm.
feels kind of like sleazy me just saying that, once we get you through the door. But we're good people with good intentions. So we want them to come through our door. We know that we're going to be very gentle and compassionate with them. We know we're going to be very good stewards of them. So we can trust ourselves to leverage things to make it easier for people to find what they're looking for, and easy for us to have the experience that we want to find. So this is all very integrity filled.
Mm-hmm.
But I would challenge you to just try on for size. Say maybe through the end of the month, for the rest of August, or maybe the next 30 days, or maybe through the end of the year, whatever really feels right with you. And again, make sure all of this feels right with you. Choose the one that feels like the most essentially essence you, knowing that these other pieces can be worked into the equation when their time's right. Because I think this is one of the things that trips us conscious entrepreneurs up. We're so aware. We're also very psychic, and we don't know this. We're visionaries, but we don't really know this, but we do know this because these other people can't see what we're talking about all the time.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that trips visionaries up is that we can see what's coming, so we expect it to have already happened. And when it's not here, we're like, what the F? Where is it at? And maybe I don't know what I'm doing. Or we think that we have to make it happen. We don't. We just have to say, thank you for letting me know that this is an option. I'm totally keeping this avenue open. And I trust that if this is really meant to be, I can't miss it even if I tried to.
Mm-hmm.
And what I believe, because there is massive potential with multi-level marketing, you've got to get these other pieces in place, not the other business pieces, but these other internal pieces in place before you're ever going to allow yourself to receive that $10,000 in the next month or whatever that is possible. So we can also, it doesn't say that's not possible and not possible for me. It just says, since I have that sensation in my being, I'm going to trust that that's part of my destiny. And in the meantime, I'm just going to do my best to relax while divine timing unfolds everything perfectly. And the more that I can just follow that heart and follow that calling and dare to just put Rob out there, I think that that's where you're going to start hitting on what it is that you're really supposed to be doing. And I think
Mm-hmm.
it is going to be multifaceted. And I think that you can definitely interweave and have these other places to support it. But for most of us, we need to step away from this business facade and just be us. And then through being us, we're going to have that business get built around us, if that makes sense. It's kind of the
Yeah.
old model is show that we already got it. And now the new model is, you know what? I'm figuring this out, but I know I'm really good at doing some things. And if you want to keep having this conversation with me, let's keep having it together. It's a little
Mm-hmm.
bit different. It's a little bit more, I don't know, feel good. And when we can give ourselves permission and also have that in depth knowing that we can't miss something that's for us, then we can relax. We can cultivate that self love, trust ourselves a little bit more for the journey, and really see that trusting ourselves is trusting life, and trusting life is trusting ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a whole different experience.
Yeah.
How do
Yeah.
you feel now having heard that versus how you were feeling even when you asked the question?
Yeah, no, I think I feel that that's right, that I have to feel into myself more, and that's when I really come alive. Like people know, the thing I came alive was when I was facilitating with conscious business people, and they were conscious, more of a corporate type, but I just came alive. And one of the guys was asking me on the third day this. He says, I need to know what you're doing because you're the happiest guy I've ever seen in my life. Because I had this permanent smile on my face at that event because like that's me. That's who I am. So I think I just have to lean into that. There's this big doubt that's hanging over me. It's like, but I don't know how to turn that into a business yet.
Yeah,
I don't know how to get any money from that. But that's definitely my place. That's my happy zone right there.
for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Well, keep hanging around because we're gonna interweave more of the hows now that we have that foundation of where you're gonna build that how on top of.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did have one other question that related specifically to what you were just saying about being yourself and being real to you. because and I'm just going to say my experience of you, so I'm going to be really open with you. But
Please.
when you were going through some struggles with your husband, I'm like, wow, I don't think I would be that vulnerable in a situation, particularly as a coach. Like that would scare me. But I also see that it gave you credibility and power, and you just went for it. And I think it may actually be attracting people to you too. And believe it or not, I found it super helpful because one of my clients, my latest client, actually turned up to have deep relationship problems with his wife. And so I was taking that and I was like replaying your video because what you were saying was very helpful. I've never been married, so I don't have the same relating to it. But I'm interested in what was going through your mind during that time, because like if I were pre making the video, I would have been scared, scared to actually say, hey, I'm having a struggle in this area.
Totally, totally understand what you're saying. And thank you so much. I really appreciate your words because I do not know how people are going to receive that. I don't know what they're going to be thinking. All that I did know is that I experienced something really powerful. And
Mm,
I know that my gift is helping other people integrate in a very practical way what I've integrated in my own life. And the way
mm,
that I get to my process is through talking it out loud to somebody else.
mhm.
So some of my best coaches have just been holding the space for me to kind of coach myself through the process.
Yep.
And because in notice, I didn't go necessarily, I think I did share some of this with the Consciouspreneur Club, which is a little bit more of an open group. I took the real heart and vulnerability to the mastermind because you guys have already told me you're going to love and accept me and create this supportive environment. Plus, I'm really committed to being an example to all of you. And I just knew that there was something to me sharing what was happening. And even though I didn't have all the pieces into place, I would know if this resonated or not through that sharing. And if nothing else, y'all would just be like, well, Chrissy doesn't have it as together as I thought she did, which I also want you to see that. You don't have to wait until the relationship's perfect and your body's perfect and your finances are perfect. I mean, that's like saying we're going to wait till we have enough money to have kids. Whoever has enough money to have kids? Nobody, right? And if you did, you don't once you got them. Most people, right?
Yeah.
So thank you. And that's a perfect example that you just said yourself. It I was speaking most specifically to those that are in relationships with people who tend to dominate them and run them over. But yet you, who's not a woman, not married, you still were able to take something out of it for yourself and to pass along to other people. And that's the power of vulnerable sharing. And you'll also notice there was a very subtle difference. And I think that this is what can trip people up. And Sarah, definitely pay attention to this too, which I'm sure you're already getting guided and supported around this. There's a difference between bringing vulnerabilities through the eyes of being a victim,
Mm, mhm,
and there's a difference between bringing vulnerability through the eyes of how that tender, damaging, traumatic time helped to empower you on the other side.
mm.
So and I'm getting chills just saying that, so I know I'm hitting onto something big. And good thing I'm recording this. um, when you can bring it, when I realize that the only thing that makes me a victim of my circumstances is that I allow myself to be victimized by my circumstances,
Mhm,
and that I can instead be empowered because of my circumstances, that shift is, I think, what makes the difference. If I was to just bring to you a broken, victimized woman who was just sharing all the hardships of her life, that would be a very different experience than somebody who's saying, because of this, I made this choice. And on the other side, although I don't know where it's going, I'm feeling this and I'll keep you posted. That's something people want because they're going through the same thing. And it's a different level of like of vulnerability and connectedness for sure. And
mm,
Rachel's been chatting in here. She says that's awesome, Robert. She says yes, exactly that, and but also the importance of vulnerable showing while showing the power behind it. Yes, the power behind approaching the situation. Exactly. It's one is shit happens in life and this is what is shitty that's happening in my life. And the
mm.
other one is everything's the divine, even the shitty stuff. It just literally is holy shit. That's why we say that, right? It literally is, holy shit. So this is how I saw the divine working through it. This is what I'm doing on the other side of it. And that can look in a number of different ways, what that empowerment looks like. And that really is what makes all of us entrepreneurs. I had this situation in my life. It was a struggle and a hardship. Somebody introduced me to this way of being, thinking, acting, choosing, eating, whatever. On the other side, I got this result. And because this result affected me so powerfully, I'm now on a mission. This is what I'm doing because of this result. We got to tell everybody else. So it's that same process. It's just learning how to bring that empowered message forward. And Sarah, I think that you're totally on the right path with the way that you're sharing it, because you're saying, hey, I've been through all this and I'm still showing up every day. And if you're using this as an excuse to not show up every day, then you got no excuses now. And you got somebody else that you can talk to about it. And that's a very powerful thing. And the more comfortable you get with it, the more comfortable I get with it, the more it becomes a strength and something that I can use. But I think that's also part of the shift that's happening. We need to see that it's not perfect, so that we can stop thinking we have to be perfect before we can have. You need to see that it's a struggle. You need to know that Donald Trump doubts himself on a daily basis. You need to know that, because he does. I don't care what his marketing people say or what his persona is all about. He's human. He doubts himself on a daily basis. We all do. And so we're not ever going to get up to a place where it's like, oh, I'm fearless. Now I can be unstoppable. It's like, no, I'm unstoppable because I feel the fear and it reminds me that I have a choice to be empowered. So I become empowered because I love me, and all of life boils down to how am I experiencing me. And I can either experience myself as a victim of my circumstances or somebody who's an empowered on the other side of it.
Cool. That's
awesome.
awesome.
I'll put away my soapbox now.
No, that was good. That was good. Yeah, that was very helpful. So thank you.
You're so welcome. So welcome. Okay, if anybody else wants to jump out, I got a few more minutes. Hey, Sarah, go for it, babe.
Well, yesterday was a really rough day for me. It was really rough because, like, the decision came to just switch just like that. But I have to be honest, I wasn't following your thing this time because I had so much going on. My mind was just cluttered. But it kind of lines up along that, even though I didn't really do it.
Because all of life is conspiring to see you succeed, Sarah. So everywhere you look is going to be the message for you. And I'm just blessed that you keep showing up in my path, because I just delight in you. So thank you.
Thank you. But it took me realizing that, see, when I started my business, I want to be completely different. I don't want to be like everybody else, even though I knew what I could mainly help with. I was trying to make it about something completely different, so I wasn't like following everybody. So I went into the organization. Not that I'm not good at organization and time management, because I am. It made me come out of like the dark space I was in, but I know I can help people on different levels than that. Just that. I can help them get out of that dark place, create an action plan, make what's best for them, because I know everybody's different. But also, I'm not living in that victim area anymore. Like, I acknowledge these things happened, but I'm not staying there. And it was really hard to make that video last night. And I even put it out on YouTube. It's not that, anybody's on my channel, but, I put it out on YouTube. So, and I'm putting it on my website. I want people to see who I am and why I am where I'm at. And like, it was like, I think that's why I've been missing from groups and stuff, is the mindset shift was happening and I didn't know how to deal with it.
I'm getting a really intuitive hit for you. I can really see you, like, your real calling perhaps is more aligned with helping people move whatever it is that they want to move forward, get over whatever traumas they've been through, and be able to live out their expression of them. And your gift of helping them to segue into that empowerment is that, starting with the first step before you can do any of that, babe, you got to get organized. So let's get you organized so that you can start to trust yourself, feel empowered, have a game plan, have some confidence and have something to stand on, so that then that can be like their platform for getting everything out further. So keep following your path. You're right on point with it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, right now I'm focusing on helping people get out of the dark place, but like I'm incorporating all the organization stuff into it, because I know when you're cluttered on the outside, that means there's shit going on the inside.
Totally.
And like most of my spaces are organized, but like my bedroom is a complete mess right now, and that's because of the mind shift. It was so bad that I couldn't even do what I needed to do to function. So I'm just happy that, you know, thanks to people like you and Debbie Pace and everything, that I'm finally hitting where my stride is, and I don't feel like an emotional mess and forcing myself to do stuff that didn't feel right.
Yes, 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 yes. And I got two other things that that came through to share with you. One is that if your soul is sending you a message, you're not following anybody except for yourself. Right now, a lot of us are getting the same message. We're just all going to have our own unique expression of it. And it's going to be pretty bold to put yourself out there. And if part of what's coming up for you is, I don't want people to think that I'm following somebody else, one, if that's coming up, that's proof that you're not, because those who follow other people, they don't stop to think that, they just do. And also, it's just another opportunity to heal something within yourself around fear of being judged by other people, because other people aren't saying, hey, you're following other people. Probably other people will be like, wow, look, Sarah's totally badass just like these other people, and that's cool that this is coming out of her. It's only our own judgments that makes us think, you know, that's probably part of going to be part of your messaging, is going to be part of what gets incorporated into your work, is to give people permission that even if it looks just like what somebody else is doing, it can never be what somebody else is doing. And I can really speak to this firsthand, because there's a chick that I love to follow. And we hit this point towards the end of last year, like once I started the Consciouspreneur Club and everything really started to clarify for me, about which direction I wanted to go and who to talk to and what my messaging, all that stuff. I would put something together, and then I'd go to put it on the internet, and I'd pull it up that day, and I'd find out this girl launched the same exact thing, talking about the same exact thing. And I was like, I can't turn around in a week later, be like, do my thing that looks just like this girl's other thing, because I felt so out of integrity. And I wrote her an email. I was like, look, I am worried that you're going to think that I'm copying you, because I'm getting like literal, like even the same things. She's talking about alignment. You know what I mean? It's like all this stuff is like word for word almost. But I knew I wasn't copying her, but I also didn't want to look like that. And she's like, if your soul is giving you the message, you can never copy anybody else. And lots of us are coming forward because there's a big need. All of us are so
Yes.
need to be tenderly loved, compassionately supported, taught how to love ourselves. There's a big movement that's happening right now. And this is why it's so tempting to kind of check out of it all. It's ramping up. It's getting so intense. And those that are feeling and walking that fine line of, do I stay or do I go? They need to know that other people out there are feeling that same thing, even if it looks like they got it all together because we put the best of ourselves on Facebook and social media. And I think that's part of the problem too.
Yeah, well, I have a bonus to add to this, only because I just thought it was
Thanks for
amazing.
being here, Leslie. I see you got to go, babe.
I have a positive inspiration for daily consumption group that I just post like positive quotes in, just because I had started it because I was feeling like shit, and I was like, it helped me to see those quotes. Well, I posted the video in there last night, and I just had somebody message me and say that I have inspired them in so many ways, and that's wasn't what I posted the message about in there for. It was just like something I felt called to do. Hey, I'm in a mess just like everybody else, and this is what's going on. And she's like, you have inspired me more than you'll ever know. And it's not somebody I've ever directly spoken with before, so I was like, wow.
Awesome. You are inspiring so many more people than you realize. We're so much more loved. We're so much more supported. We are so much more seen. We're so much more recognized than we realize. And we cannot begin to tap into receiving these and seeing that happening in the world around us until we begin to do those things for ourselves. So it sounds to me like you are starting to recognize and give attention to some areas of yourself that, I don't blame you, chick. I'd be stuffing those away too. And I wouldn't want to bring those out to the forefront either. But just like Rob said about my vulnerable shares, until we bring it out and say, hey, look, this is a struggle and it's for real. And it's not going to stop or remedy itself until you learn how to incorporate that into who you are, and to stop allowing it to victimize you, and to move forward regardless, to get your shit straight regardless. then that's what people are needing. And on the days that you can't do it, honor yourself, rest, give yourself a break, because somebody else is out there doing that message. Nobody's going to be missing out, and we're going to be holding the space until you feel whole and complete and can bring it back. And that saying, I've just seen it. It's been, again, buzzing in my mind, along with know thyself, that if you're tired, learn to rest, not to quit. And there was just a point, because I teeter that same line. Don't know why. It's just something that's been there. It was really strong in my life around high school, and now it's really strong in my life again. But last May, actually, I just made a deal with myself. It's like, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to stay on this side. I'm going to see this through. That didn't mean that it stopped coming around. It's just in those moments, I just gritted down. I just bared through it. And even though it felt like it would last forever, eventually it would stop. And the more that I can get anchored into the fact that eventually it stops, the less it affects me, and the more I can focus on loving myself. And the more that I focus on loving myself through those rides, the less they come around. And what if, that's really the intensity, is that we're just really clearing all this out for everybody. And here's something else that came to me. This was another thought that I was going to be sharing with the group. Instead of thinking about you're in business and you got to make it succeed or it's going to fail, think about it this way. Start thinking of yourself as being in school, getting your master's in business administration. You're working on your MBA right now. Working on an MBA comes with debt and investments that are beyond what you typically have in your bank account. So think about it as you are learning business, you're getting your MBA training right now, but the school that you're enrolled in allows you to practice what you're learning in your schooling alongside your schooling. So you actually get to practice some of what you've learned and generate some income along the way, which is pretty cool. And you can just look at it as a training more so than something I'm going to get right or get wrong, because it's not going to be just one offer that turns everything around, one thing that you put out that just all of a sudden opens the floodgates. It's going to be continuing to trust yourself, continuing to practice these things, continuing to integrate them, continuing to experimenting, and continuing to dive deeper and deeper inside of you and recognizing what comes up as you do this stuff. But for me, it's like when I shifted that in my mind, it's like, yeah, if I had just gone to school and gone through traditional college, traditional grad school, got my MBA, I would be probably about in the same place, but I would be starting fresh. I would have concepts instead of firsthand experience, and I would have probably 4 times the amount of debt of what I have right now, having gone through kind of more of an on the hands, on the job training that is entrepreneurship. So for me, like now I just look at it as every post that I post is part of my training and is helping me to clarify who I am. And the better that I know myself, the more clear my messaging gets, and the more that I put it out there, the more I find my groove with it all. And I think it's just going to be that refinement process. I mean, even the greats. I mean, some of these people that I follow, they make a multiple 6-figure income and above, and they're like, "Hey, this is my next goal. This is what I'm going for next." Right? We're an ongoing evolution. So the more we can embrace that, just really see this as training ground and on the job training that you get paid for, and then the more that you refine it, the more you get promotions. You know.
Yeah. Well, I got to just add one last thing. Bonus. My nightmare stopped last night.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Maybe you sent them my way, because I had some crazy dreams last night.
For months, I've been having nightmares, and nothing was stopping it. And I was like, I don't know what is going on. And it's just random stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know there's something going on. And I think it was the mind shift in process. And once it was completed, just.
Yeah. And I bet you facing your fears allowed you to stop having your fears face you in your subconscious life.
Well, just telling people that you wish to die for so long was just the hardest thing, because it's embarrassing. I feel like a failure.
I say the same thing. And that's why it's like, I wasn't, I don't know. I have a hard time like saying that I was somebody who really walks that line of choosing to be here or not. That's the best way that I can explain it. Let's just say if life had an eject button, I would have pushed that SOB quite a while ago. But I'm so glad it doesn't. And that's why it doesn't. And so the more that I've understood this about being empathic, the more I realize like, wow, maybe it's not so much that I want to eliminate myself, but that there's so many people that are feeling that way. And that's my message to help them with. And also, I really think of it as symbolic as the one inside of me is dying as I suppress her, as I hold her back, as I let her not shine. That's what's hurting. It's the suppression of her. She's dying as this thing and this physical thing tries to control life. And the more that I let her have that voice, I surrender her to her and I allow her to come out, it hurts a lot less. So what if that's what that pain is? It's just us being further away from the truth of who we are, and the more we get closer to the truth of who we are, which I believe is the divine in physical form, then the better we feel and the more elated we become and the easier it is to go through all these processes. So kudos to you, Sarah. You're a very
Thank you.
brave girl. Very brave girl. And Rachel was chiming in here. She says, I was the same as Sarah. She had started the challenge and then skipped a day or two and went back to day 2 and then started watching day 4 this morning and just having a lot going on. But it's so important to integrate this stuff into all that is going on. Exactly. It's understanding life's never going to hit pause. It's not about being consistent all the time, perfect. It's about understanding that when you are feeling frustrated and overwhelmed, go back to what you know will support you. And the more that you cultivate self love, the more that becomes your second nature, which I believe it's just your first nature stepping forward and eliminating your second nature, which is survival. Go for the chocolate cake or, the alcohol or whatever it is that's going to distract you from really facing this. And the more that you can love yourself, the more you can see you have been through horrible things. You might have even done horrible things, but you are an amazing person. And the things that you've done is not who you are, it's what you've experienced. And those around you who are doing those horrible things to you, it will never justify why they're doing what they're doing to you, because there is no justification for you ever being mistreated in any form or fashion or having any miskindness done to you whatsoever. However, the only way we can bring justice to that horrific things that happen to us is to get in touch with who we have become on the other side of it. And when we can sit into that and we can find our power there, then all the rest of it doesn't have to make sense, but at least there is something that has come out of it that is, again, more aligned with divinity. And then from there, it just takes on, everything takes on a different perspective. And that's where our true power lies. It's not in controlling what happens out here. It's about defining what is happening out here. That's where our power lies. So we can change that story from I'm a victim because this happened to me, or because of this victimization that happened to me on the other side, I am more empowered, I'm more aware, I'm more confident, I am more certain, I speak up for myself more, I don't let other people run me over, I show other people how they can do the same thing, whatever it is coming forward. Leslie had to go. She said, thank you. And lots of hugs and kisses. Rachel said, I've had that happen before. Yeah, Rachel, I know that you're definitely syncing up with all this chat. And Rob says, yes, exactly. I reframed it as trading money for the things I value much more: experiences, knowledge, and relationships. Exactly. Exactly. We have to loosen our grip, because it's not about the money. Erica posted that video in the mastermind group, that girl doing the voice edition or whatever that show is. And she was singing that song. It's not about the money. And it's not about the money, because it's not about money. It's about energy. It's about the essence of who you are. It's about understanding that what you want is you. What you're craving is you. It's the part of you that shows up in relation to whatever that thing is that you think that you want. Cultivate a relationship with that aspect of you and you will have whatever you want, because what you desire is a different experience of you. And you just think that if those circumstances change, you'll experience yourself differently. But you experience yourself differently, those circumstances will change. I changed from a woman who was being emotionally and verbally abused by her husband to a woman who could better understand what her husband was telling her, because she stopped taking it personal and she heard what he was really saying. And once she could identify with what he was really saying, guess what he did? Open up to hear her. We always want what we want first, but sometimes we have to surrender to let life do what life's going to do. And then from it, in the end, always staying connected, that we always have what we want as long as we have ourselves and can recognize that. Okay. We're coming up on an hour and a half, so I definitely want to wrap this up. But Lisa or Michelle, Rachel, if anybody else wants to speak out, I'll give you just a moment while I drink some water and pull up our lovely little bonus that I have here. Okay. Rachel says, nope, that's okay this time. Thanks, Rachel, for being here and for your contributions in the chat. Really appreciate that. I know Michelle and Lisa, you might also be in places where you can't really chat in, and that's totally fine. All are welcome around here. All right, y'all. Because I love to give you guys a little bonus treat for being here live, I'm actually going to stop the recording right now and thank everybody who has watched the replay to this point, everybody who is here live. If you're here live, stay on the line because I'm going to take you through a lovely guided meditation that was interesting. This came to my mind to share, and then the conversation today, this is so on point. I couldn't have picked a better way to close out this time together. So thank you for watching the replay. And if you haven't done so yet, go back, take on the 5-day challenge. If you want to wait until next month because you got a lot going on, I get that. We will start the next one the first Monday in September, which is probably Labor Day. So pretty convenient, huh? But that's okay. So first Monday of every month, we got that going. So tell your friends, invite them over. Would love for them to participate in the challenge as well. And if you really dig this, like if you really are into this and you just want to talk more about this, go more in depth on these different little aspects that we've talked about, Monday over in the Consciouspreneur Mastermind, I'm going to be kicking off this month's Master Workshop Series. So first Monday every month in the Consciouspreneur Club, we do this Transform Fear into Confidence Challenge. Second Monday of every month over in the mastermind group, which is my membership group full of kick-ass people. Y'all are amazing. They have a little bit of skin in the game to get access to massive amounts of high-end content, and part of that content is a monthly master workshop series. So I'm going to be doing a master workshop series. It's going to be the self-love power shift 6-day long experience. We're just going to dive deep in these simple bite-sized little morsels to help you shift into a deeper level of connectedness with yourself, how to integrate self-love into your life, and why we do it, and how that's going to help you to move your mission and your calling forward. So if that's of interest to you, definitely check out the mastermind group. You can post, because I'll post this video for replay, so comment below if you want a link to finding out that information. Would love to have you join. All right, y'all. I will see you next time around, and thanks for participating in this challenge. Again, if you're on live, just hang tight.